Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Dugout Mug Studios. This is the Variety Sports Network production. This is the seventh inning stretch.
All right, welcome back to another Thursday show here on the seventh inning stretch. You know it. We've been doing it all season long, and today we don't disappoint you again. We got my guy, Ketel Marte, on there from PHXN, if I say that right, PHNX Sports, yes, PHNX Diamondbacks. He's going to be joining us to talk a little bit of Dbacks, one of the hotter teams since summer has started. So we'll kind of dive into them for about the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the show here. And of course, you know, Josh Edwards, that always gets us started. He's back after a week vacation, looking refreshed up there, that voice ready to go. Brandon didn't throw you off with the intro this week, Edwards, so we're ready to roll as well. Derek, as we mentioned before we came on, thanks, man, for taking some time to join us and giving us a little perspective from the D-back side as well. So thanks for taking the time this evening.
No problem, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Edwards, what was it, D-backs last year? I felt like you were on that train a little bit, right?
I took the D-backs early last year, and then this year I didn't think they were going to be able to repeat, but let's be honest. I thought they were going to be better than they were the first half of the season, and now they're kind of where I expected them to be. So I can't say I backed them 100% from the beginning like I did last year, but they were like my hot take last year at the beginning of the season. They were my sleeper pick.
That's a well said with your hot take with it. Derek, I'm curious to get your thoughts with the D-backs here. They make the World Series run, you know, last year, obviously late in that 6th seed. I guess for me, the stands out to me is the offense. I'm just curious to get your perspective, to get their thought. Yeah, Marte's the talk of the town, right? We did a show a couple weeks ago on him being the NL MVP conversation, but then you have professional hitters all over your lineup. I just kind of want to start there with you at the D-backs. Like, I feel like the offense is carrying the load this year. I'll get some of the stuff up here on the screen, but your thoughts on their offense here?
Their offense has been surprising, and I think early on in the year, that's kind of what was missing, right? Like when they struggled in April and May, you look at some of the numbers, you look at the guys that were struggling, and you know it's no secret as to why they were not doing well. It was due to the lack of offense, and I mean, the Diamondbacks already had some really good things going from last year. Obviously, they had the incredible postseason run that they had. But like they really did go out there and acquire what they thought was, you know, some big bats to add to this lineup. And now those are the guys that you're seeing that have added so much to the offense this year. Gino Suarez, who struggled early on, has been incredible for this team lately. Jock Peterson has been one of the best hitters on this team. And that's just amazing to say because, of course, you know, you bring Jock Peterson in as a DH, you expect to get some power out of him. You expect to maybe see some regression there, but now that he's not playing in San Francisco any longer, he's just, you know, he's hitting the ball really well. And it's like, it goes beyond that. He's not just hitting, you know, home runs, even though I think he's up to 20 now. He's getting a lot of singles. He's getting a lot of doubles. He works the count really well. He's taking really good at bats. It's gotten to the point that he's become a leader for this team. He's become a mentor for some of the young guys. In fact, Jake McCarthy, who's been absolutely on fire lately, moved his locker in the clubhouse over next to Jock Peterson's. And now Jock Peterson is kind of taken Jake under his wing a bit. And of course, the result is that Jake has become the best hitter on the team. And, you know, they continue to get unlikely offense from sources that you wouldn't think would work out. You know, you have Christian Walker go down due to injury. You go out and get Josh Bell for cash considerations at the trade deadline. And Josh Bell just comes over and starts raking and giving this team some very, very timely hits. Then, you know, you even have, you know, a situation where Gabby Moreno, their star catcher, goes down. They call up Adrian Del Castillo, and this kid becomes a legend in the first 10 games, you know, that he's playing for this team. So like there's definitely some like good vibes going for them because it feels like every move they make is kind of working out right now.
I mean, the stats are there. It's not like you're like, these are like, well, they're coming on hot. It's like, no, you're first in that NL at RBIs. You're first in that NL at runs. It's not like these are just like poo-poo stats. Your average is there. You lead the league in triples. Your stadium is an underrated triple stadium. I've always said that. You guys always have like random guys like David Peralta that lead the league in triples. It's so you guys are there with it. You're right there with doubles. You guys are raking. And so I just feel like with your offense carrying the load, and I mean, then Edwards, you chime in after this, is like The pitching, though, is where I thought it was going to be the strength, and it's kind of turned out to be opposite. Josh, a big Jordan Montgomery guy, right, Edwards? The pitching it's good, and
I
I'll
was a little jelly.
deep dive into it more, but that's where you were like, oh, that to me, I was like, oh, that's going to be the strength, and it necessarily hasn't been that way. Does that seem fair?
It's absolutely fair. I mean, it's been due to injury in part. The large part of it has been injury. And due to that, the Diamondbacks have kind of had some guys that stepped up. Brandon Pfaadt has been very good for this team all year. Ryan Nelson over the last month and a half has become an all-star. The man has, I think, like 9 of his last, since July 1st, like 9 of his outings have been like 1 earned run or less. And this is the person they're considering sending down out of the lineup or moving into the bullpen or, doing something with. And it's kind of difficult, right? Jordan Montgomery has not been what they thought he was going to be. He oddly gets a lot of like run support when he's out there. He gets like nearly 7 runs per game per outing. So he's like the guy that gets all the run support, but it's been a bit disappointing. And I'm sure that goes all the way around. Like Jordan Montgomery has had a disappointing year. He had a disappointing offseason. He parted ways with his agent, which is Scott Boras, which a lot of players don't do that. And there's just been a lot of, kind of unfortunate things that have happened for him this year. And he hasn't been performing. I mean, at this point, it's looking likely that he's going to be a Diamondback next year. And I think, he might be a different pitcher to once he has like a normal off season and has a chance to go through spring training and do everything again. But it's just interesting because now they're going with the 6-man rotation. And a big part of that is because they don't really want to move Ryan Nelson out of this rotation with how good he's been. And Jordan Montgomery just costs them entirely too much money for them to try to find some other option for him. I mean, I feel like it's a financial decision impacting, what they really want to do. But for now, they do have a deep starting rotation of guys that are still trying to find their way. Zach Gallen has struggled this year. He's struggled with like first pitch strikes, getting ahead in the count. But you got Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, both coming back from injuries. And that's still just, it's baseball, right? Like nothing is a quick thing. Eduardo Rodriguez seems to be doing good. Erod has had some good outings, and it feels like he's building up and getting there. And they have some time, right? Like they have some time between now and the end of the season to figure this out. This is a good time for them to be taking a good look at their starting rotation. And if they do make the playoffs, deciding which of these pieces they're going to really look to, which of these guys they're going to look to in the postseason. I have a feeling, it probably won't be Jordan Montgomery at this point, which is just crazy to say, considering how good he was last year in the postseason. Just insane.
I think if he's with you guys next year, like we suspect, I think you get a totally different pitcher.
I do too.
I think you get everything you thought you were supposed to get this year, and he becomes a leader, and your rotation is just going to be sick.
Well,
it's going to be absolutely ridiculous.
A lot of Diamondbacks fans are obviously very impatient with him, but it's like if you see them do something drastic, like we know they're not going to, but like fans constantly want, teams to do, it's like you're going to see this guy go shove for some other team, and it's going to infuriate you when that happens. You know what I mean? Like that the only time he was bad was literally his time with us. So I kind of, we say it over and over again. Baseball is a mental sport more than any other sport.
No doubt.
It's really hard to go through the instability that Montgomery went through this offseason and even during the season and still, expect him to be as good as he was. I think he will get back on track, though. I agree with you.
To that point, like I know Blake Snell's pitching better now, but he did have a struggle when he signed late a little bit further. So, I mean, I think that's a part of it. And some GMs I know I've heard in just conversations like, oh, we're not going to do that again. We'll see if they hold themselves to that. But that's what I've been hearing through it. What if I had to put
and there was one point, not to cut you off, but there was
go ahead.
Jordan Montgomery is like the last starting pitcher standing, right? You had Gallen down, you had Merrill Kelly down, you had Eduardo Rodriguez down. It was him and Brandon Pfaadt. And I think that, like, if you want to talk about other things that might have impacted him, I felt like there was a lot of pressure on him to now like suddenly be the guy for this team while he's surrounded by a bunch of, young, inexperienced players that they were kind of calling up from, AAA to come fill the gap. And I think that was part of it as well.
How are you guys feeling about Kelly and Gallen? I'm curious on your thoughts. Like last year, they were so good, right? In October and late September, like so good, like Cy Young worthy for a lot. I'm just curious. Obviously they haven't had. It's a weird looking at your guys' pitching stats. The innings pitch number is kind of funny looking at.
Oh yeah,
the starters there. It's kind of. I think you said Fott's the only one that's even eligible for anything if it was kind of based on that. So
correct.
What do you kind of make of those two guys? Because obviously, as we will move into the conversation a little bit into your postseason thoughts, and like where you guys are looking like you're going to get there, those two guys are going to play a heavy role. What's kind of your thoughts with those two, the big horses of the rotation, a little bit?
I think Merrill's still working his way back to what he was, but I'm fairly confident that it's just, that time being back from that injury and not really having a lot of games under his belt right now. But Zach, I feel like, is a bit more concerning. Zach always was consistent for this team. I mean, he set a major league record for the number of starts in a career with allowing 3 earned runs or less. And that's kind of what Zach gives you, even on a bad outing, even when he doesn't have his best stuff or he doesn't have a feel for his pitches, he's still going to give you 3 earned, 6 innings. And you're still like, that wasn't a bad night for most major league pitchers. Right. So like Gallen is that. And I'm concerned that it's like an injury thing because he keeps having like cramps. He keeps having issues with his delivery at times. There's with that kind of stuff, it can just be a nagging kind of situation where it's not really going away and it's not bad enough to put you on the IL, but it is bad enough to impact you as a pitcher. And of course, the one thing Zach has always been able to do is work ahead in the count, and that's not what we're seeing lately. So, again, you have the command kind of tied at times to physical ailments or things that might not be right with their mechanics, and that's kind of where we're at. But I mean, honestly, for this fan base, for a lot of people that root for this team, Zach Gallen is like the player that everybody wants to see them lock down, right? And so that's part of this too, is that Zach Gallen was kind of up there in the Cy Young conversation last year. He led this team in the postseason, and he had his struggles even in the postseason, but I mean, he has just been excellent ever since joining it, ever since they traded for him. So like, he's just, he's that guy that people want to see stay a Diamondback for the rest of his career. The interesting thing we'll see is between, whatever happens the rest of this year, what happens in the postseason, and, what happens next year, how that could impact him staying in Arizona, because, a big part of that and a big part of his value has been that consistency that he's always been able to deliver.
It's interesting with Gallen too, is like you said, like the fan base relates to him because I think they see a dog out there. They see somebody that's like kind of like stuck with them over the years a little bit. And last year was a magical run he had with them. And I mean, there is a fair case. I always feel like he threw a lot of innings last year. There is maybe there is that kind of thought that sometimes with pitchers and like give him another year to just kind of reboot again and get there. I think that could happen.
Yeah.
I feel you. As an A's fan, it's always nice to have somebody out here that you can actually like rely on and know they're going to be there.
Yes.
As a Dbacks fan, I could say, it's nice to know that you can have Gallen there year in and year out. He's going to give you 3 runs and less for the most part. And so,
and it's been the talking point. It really has, where people are just, they assume that he will not be a Diamondback anymore after, his contract is up, and I think a big part of that is the fact that, at times when players do have like Scott Boras for an agent, for instance, they don't tend to sign, they don't tend to sign engagement or extensions. And, again, it just feels like with how he was pitching up until, the things that kind of plagued him this season, he was, an elite level pitcher, and he really was starting to become part of that conversation. And I still think he's there. I just think that there, is some sort of like, not an injury, but something that hurts him a little bit, that he has to go out there and kind of play through every day.
That makes sense. I mean, I found it interesting. You guys were talking, and I think it was today, you were talking about with your co-host about what teams, if you guys made the playoffs, what team you would fear a little bit more. He mentioned that Edwards will get it. I've been a big Brewers person on this pod, and maybe it's just to a fault, but I found it funny that your co-host was like, you'd be an idiot to think the Brewers. I was like, well, I'm an idiot then. I was like, I think the Brewers could give you a little bit more running for the Padres. And for me, I know the Padres, it's like, you think through it, like you said, Cease, all this and that. But There's something about the Brewers this year that I just kind of find a little bit more interesting. So I did find that your guys' conversation with that to be very interesting with that.
Here's probably why that is that the Diamondbacks still have 6 more games to play against the Brewers. So there hasn't been that chance to really like see them in person, right? See Jackson Churio and how good he is in person, right? We all might be singing a different tune once we, go to Milwaukee and have them come here, because those 2 series are fairly close together, and here at the end of the season when they're pretty important for the Diamondbacks, right, as they kind of fight here. I think the thing is that the Diamondbacks do kind of get pushed around a little bit here in the National League West between our big brothers, the Dodgers and the Padres, with the players they have and everything. And I do think that the one thing the Diamondbacks have over both of those teams is that this team is deep. There's depth here, and they're constructed in a way where anybody can kind of beat you on any given night versus needing like the stars to kind of come through for you. That was one of the keys when the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers last year, right? In the postseason, was that they were able to hold Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, basically limit them. And if you can limit those guys, and the rest of the lineup really wasn't going to hurt you last year. Now they have Ohtani, and that's a very difficult task. That's a whole different thing, right?
A one of one task.
One of one for sure. Yeah, but like again, I mean, it's one of those things where I think the reason why people say that, including my co-host, is because that's the path they went through last year. And despite the fact that the Diamondbacks, nobody thought the Diamondbacks were on the World Series level yet, even getting to the World Series. And that includes us here in Arizona, right? We were a team that lost 110 games not that long ago, right? Or 100, whatever it was, like, and so like, I mean, we're talking about like, you kind of have to make those steps as a professional franchise. And it felt like they were, right? They went from having a terrible season to having a season where they were fairly close to 500 to having an above 500 season where they made the playoffs. And so like, all right, well, that's cool. Like, we're going to go play Milwaukee. Neat. Like, we'll probably lose, but whatever. And of course, going through the path that they went through was kind of on paper, I guess you could say, the easier path, but it really wasn't. It went through the Dodgers, it went through the Phillies. Like, they didn't have an easy path. It's just that's kind of the way fans see it. Like, this is a different Dodgers team this year. This is a different Phillies team this year. So it's like, again, it's like, I don't know if I'm super excited to play either of those teams. I will say the conversation we have been having a bit, though, has been about like winning the division, right? Because
I heard that today.
They're getting close.
There's a chance.
They're getting close, right? And again, it's just the idea here that the Dodgers have suffered a lot of injuries. I mean, all these teams have. The Padres have. The Diamondbacks were like handicapped early in the season by the amount of injuries they had, right? But they've all kind of overcome that. They're all playing really good baseball at the same time. Like, it's crazy. They were saying like the other day that the entire NL West is 40 games over 500 as a division, and no other division in baseball is even over 500. So that just goes to show how good these teams have been. And it ain't the Rockies that are winning all those games. So, you know what I mean? But like, I'll say that, like, when it comes to the idea of winning the division, like we saw last year and we've seen in the past, that like having that layoff might not be the best thing. That sounds crazy to say. All these people I do this show with all tell me that it's loser talk to say that. But I will say, like, there's something to be said about the consistency of baseball and staying in a rhythm. And that's why teams get good. That's why they get hot. That's why all of a sudden they become unbeatable for like 2 weeks straight. It's because they got themselves in a rhythm. And sometimes when you take that break and you get that rest and you play those, whatever scrimmage games against the other team or against the AAA team or whatever, it's not the same. And it's not going to be the same as going through that first round and having to fight for your life in the wild card round. Like, I'm not saying that playing more games is a better idea. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I wouldn't want them to win the division. I just think there's something to be said about the fact that the last 2 National League representatives in the World Series for the last 2 years were the final team that made it, the final wild card team. And that's because those teams never really stopped playing baseball for more than a day.
Well, your opponent last year, the Rangers, I think, right? Were in the same boat last year as well. So I know exactly. I know Edwards believes in that as well. I know we got you from. Hopefully, we keep you on for just a few more minutes here
for sure.
I want to kind of go back to what you said though when you're talking about like you don't have a lot of. I think what you meant was like you don't have you have a lot of depth, but you do have a star, and I think it is.
Definitely.
And I think it is Marte.
Oh, he absolutely is.
But I as a fan, I would be. I've had him on like fantasy baseball teams forever now since he's been in. He's always hurt though, right? Like that is kind of his little bugaboo at times.
Yeah,
and he's hurt again right now. You know, obviously you want him hurting now than before the playoffs. So you're good. He's just an unreal hitter.
Well, and part of that, honestly, like going back to when he got like the All-Star nomination, right? Like he had tears in his eyes when he talked about that this was the first time he had played pain-free in 2 years. And to hear a baseball player kind of say that and admit that just once again goes to say that thing I said earlier, right? Where they're still out there, they're still playing, but they're hurt. Things hurt, and it impacts how fast they are, impacts a lot of the type of player that they are or who they could be, right? So like we don't really think about that at times as fans, but yeah, no, I mean, this was an unfortunate injury where Garrett Stubbs kind of slid into him in an awkward way, and it kind of folded his ankle in. It seemed like it was just going to be like a day or two he missed, and it was just going to be a contusion. Then he tried to play on it, and man, in 2 at bats that he tried to get out there and swing in 2 different games, he literally like collapsed to the ground, and you were like, you're like, no more, get this guy out of here. Like, let's wrap him up and keep him fine until the playoffs or whatever we need to do. Like it sucks that, you lose Ketel, but I guess that's the idea there is even the loss of Ketel isn't this huge impact. Kevin Newman's been playing tremendous defense at second base. They went out and picked up Luis Guillermo, who comes in and has been really good in his first start for this team as well. And I mean, the offense is continuing to roll without him. So like, I think that's the thing is there's no, it's not that there's no star, but there's just nobody that's like, that's the main driver of the offense. And without him, it seems like the offense doesn't really go.
I mean, he's a great hitter. He's just like a professional hitter on every level. So like that's like he's like such a key piece. Edward, you got anything
fun to watch?
Oh, he is.
He's like
outside, high, low. It doesn't matter.
Well, and he just if you get to see him on second base, like he's always joking with the opposing batters when they come in. But then there's still things he does where he still just does those little like kind of little league faking the throw, but he still has the glove in his hand or the ball in his glove, and he touches the runner just to see if they step off base, and it actually worked in a spring training game. He got it out that way, and it was hilarious. But it's like he plays the game with a tremendous amount of joy, and he's just such a fun player to watch.
And you got him locked up for a little while, so that's good true. As well. You got him locked up there on a good contract for I would think $76 million or something like that for 5 years. Not a bad deal at all.
Yeah, and I mean that Corbin Carroll deal might end up being tremendously good. Obviously, he struggled early on, but the man is a home run machine lately. All of a sudden, after basically having 3 home runs in his first 3 months of playing baseball, or 2 home runs in his first 3 months of baseball, like. He's turned it on. But yeah, this team is a lot of fun to watch. And right now, of course, they still have some difficult like decisions to make with their starting pitching, but it'll be interesting to see. It's not the worst thing in the world to have too much starting pitching for sure.
Never.
So as you guys look ahead to the World Series here again, you made it last year, right? So like that's got to be. I mean, that's where I would think, right? Even if you're the 60, you're thinking there. You have 72 and 56? You guys won 84 games last year, so you're going to probably blow by that record. You would think this season. I mean, the expectations have risen a little bit. You have an MVP candidate, obviously, in Marte. Walker's a stud as well, and you have all these like pieces that have fit. And then you have this kind of odd pitching staff that has just maneuvered its way through the postseason, and now it is in a position based on our conversation. That is in like any team in the National League would be like, oh, nice. I got 6 starters. Let me pick 4.
Yeah. Right.
Like you might have to deal with like, okay, do we have the dominant starter, but you have the arms there available in that situation. Like, so I guess I ask you is like, how confident are you in making another late season push? I watched the games a little, I have the MLB package. I'm checking on you guys just as much. The bullpen, I still have thoughts about in some regards, but like, what do you make of this team? Like, actually getting back to the World Series, like, are you feeling good about this? Like, I mean, it's hard to say World Series, but like, where do you feel about that?
I think this team can beat any team in any series on any given night. We constantly, once they started playing good baseball, you started having these conversations where it was like, well, let's see how they do against these teams. Let's see how they do against these teams. They almost swept both the Padres and the Dodgers in back-to-back series, and would have if it wasn't for Paul Sewald blowing 2 saves in 2 situations where the Diamondbacks had the lead, right? And I mean, unfortunately, even when the Diamondbacks were very good, they still had that issue with Paul Sewald not being very good. They moved away from him to Justin Martinez, who has some of the most incredible electric stuff I've ever seen out of a pitcher. I mean, the man goes from a 104 mile per hour, fastball high in the zone to a 99 mile per hour sinker, to a 91 mile per hour slider. Like, it's like the stuff that he has is amazing. It's really just about the fact he's 22 and he's still, like he still smells like childhood. You know what I mean? Like the man is still he is closer to being a kid than he is to being an adult. And he's out there in these high leverage situations, absolutely dominating, causing like opposing batters to literally have arguments with the home plate umpire about the pitches he's throwing, right? Because it's kind of unbelievable that he's landing the stuff in the zone that way he is. He just doesn't have that experience yet, and you see it unravel a bit when he has something go wrong for him. If he hits a batter, he walks a guy, maybe has a call that doesn't go his way, you just start to see him, slowly get out of sync, and so there's just, obviously, like I said earlier, it's a mental game. So there's just some experience. There's some, kind of sharpening of the iron there for him. But I think that he is very, very good. And I think that, of course, he could be the closer of the future for this team. He could be the closer of the present. It's been who Torrey has been going to there in the 9th inning. I think if they can kind of get to the point where they're comfortable and he's comfortable there, this team can be a pretty interesting team to watch in the postseason. And I mean, after what we saw last year, I do feel like this team is better this year than they were last year. They did it last year with 3 starting pitchers and having a bullpen game at one point during the playoffs. This team did not have the pieces and the weapons that it has this year. The unfortunate part about it has just been the injuries. They've continued to pile up for this team. Ketel, Christian Walker, Gabby Moreno, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, I feel like every single player on this team, they lost, Geraldo Perdomo and Alec Thomas early on in the season. I mean, Ketel, or like Corbin Carroll and Eugenio Suarez have been like the only 2 guys that have kind of stayed healthy all season long and have been their Ironmen. So there's just been, that factor to overcome. That's not something just exclusive to the Diamondbacks. And almost, I guess the positive is that a lot of those injuries happened early on, like some of them lately, but they'll get Christian Walker back here most likely in time for that series at home with the Mets, or at the latest probably by the Dodgers coming into town. And then questions are still around how long they're going to lose Gabby Moreno for. He has like a strained adductor, like a groin injury.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, on a catcher, right? Yeah, like it's not great.
Ridiculous. He's got no pop time, even if he can come back.
Right, exactly. And then you also have the fact that Jose Herrera right now is a below average catcher, in this league right now. He's not doing great. And Adrian Del Castillo has been lighting the league on fire as far as, his offense, but he still is adapting as a major league catcher behind the plate. So that's probably the biggest question mark for this team, because I mean, obviously, how important a catcher is out there, and
trust me,
to try to have a rookie out there, during the postseason, potentially leading the charge. Like, I believe in him, to be honest, because he's shown a lot of maturity, but I feel like it's a lot to ask.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, hell, you guys should talk to us. We could have traded you a catcher who plays great defense. His name is Pedro Pajes. He's actually really good. He's controlled for a while too.
Stop trying to offload guys.
Bomb when needed. So talk to your people, and
I'll get Mike on the phone.
See what we can do. So you can send Goriel over.
No, you can't have him. You can't have him. Thanks to Guriel.
I knew everybody else doesn't know, but.
People at Apple TV confused me for the real mayor of Phoenix, thanks to Lourdes Gurriel last year.
Oh, there you go.
So, there's nothing wrong with that.
You can't go anywhere.
That's great. I guess as we kind of wrap it up here, I just got a couple of things for you. You talked about Carroll. I think we got there. I got one thing, and then we'll wrap it up. Is the Walker situation. How do you feel about him going into next year?
I don't feel great about that. I think that Christian Walker is going to go to free agency. I think he's going to at least test the waters. I feel a little bit. Yeah, I feel no. Stop doing that to our first baseman. You can't keep
I'll give
taking
you
our first baseman.
I will give you Pages. I'll even give you a Goldie back.
All right, well, we can talk about Goldie back. We'll talk about that, but I think Christian Walker is a vastly underrated first baseman, and honestly,
he's so good. That play in
really
Chicago, that this year where he lays down, and just he's so
it was
good.
And I mean, that's the big part, right? Is his defense.
Yeah.
His defense is incredible. He always leads the league. He's up there with the top infielders, not just first baseman. He leads the first baseman, but he's like a top infielder in defense. And I think like Christian Walker doesn't get the credit he deserves. And a big part of that is because he plays for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I hate to say that. I also think it's because his name's Christian Walker, and it's just hard at times to like stand out when your name is just something like that. But I think that like a lot of people, including a lot of fans in LA, are very aware of who he is and how good he is. And I think like I don't blame him for trying to go out there and test the waters with free agency. At this point in his career, it's his chance to probably get a big long-term deal. And at the very least, he could force the Diamondbacks' hand to give him, maybe more money than he was looking for, more money than they were offering him, possibly in an extension, right? So I don't know if those talks happened. I'm sure they did, because the Diamondbacks want to keep a guy like Christian Walker, a Gold Glove first baseman over there, who's just been a leader and a huge part of why the Diamondbacks reached, the World Series last year. I just think Christian Walker's value right now is possibly the highest it could ever be in his career. So
fair.
I don't doubt at all that he will at least test the waters. Like I said, I was surprised that they brought Lourdes back, not because of the Diamondbacks, but because of Lourdes's value, right? Coming off of a World Series and everything like that. Like, I really thought that it was his chance to go out and get some other team to overpay for him, essentially. And luckily he came back to the Diamondbacks for a fairly reasonable amount. So it feels good that he's locked up, and hopefully they can do the same with Christian Walker.
I think if last year's market is like this year, then there's a better chance you're signing Walker, in the sense of like, you know what I mean? It just felt like people weren't signing people last year. It was like, we're hesitant to give $100 million to Walker. Like, Marte is only making like $78 million. I mean, Walker, is he going to get 120? That seems kind of insane based on those numbers, but that might be the reality.
They probably would. I mean, that's like in the neighborhood of what Goldie was asking, and I'm sure they regret. I mean, Mike Hazen brings up to this day that, letting Goldie walk was one of his biggest regrets. So I imagine that they're going to make, bringing Christian back a priority. But it also makes sense that if they did give him, attempted to sign him or tempted to sign him to an extension, that he would want to wait to see what his value on the market was first. So I think, that makes a lot of sense. Logan, you might not be wrong, pal. You might not be wrong.
He's 33, so it's not like they're going to give him like 180 million or something. You know what I mean? They're not going to be insane.
But that's what I mean. Like, at this point, at 33, this is probably his last chance to get like a decent multi-year contract. And, that it makes sense that he would, like I said, he would want to see what other teams are offering.
But he could probably get 5 years at 18 a year?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years seems like a bit much,
18.
but I mean, we've seen these teams giving 14 years and 100 years and however long they need to extend the contract out to make it make sense. But I mean, I would say probably, like maybe 18 and 4, or something like that.
Even that would work. Yeah.
I mean, for a player of his caliber, it makes sense. And like I said, it's just first basemen don't get the love for the defense that they have, because most of the time their defense isn't very good, but his is exceptional. Like, and we noticed that, like, it's to the point now where late in games when the Diamondbacks have a lead, it's like the 8th inning, Torrey regularly pulls Josh Bell and puts in Kevin Newman, who's a far better infielder, over at first base, just to try to make up for, Christian Walker not being there. So it literally takes 2 players to make up for Christian Walker.
Hear that.
He's a future Sacramento A. They're going to make a splash. That's what we're looking at. I want to get you out on this. Again, I really appreciate your time. I feel like it's been easy to talk with you. We're kind of ended up on 30 minutes here. I do this all the time. So no worries. I always go way
He knew
over.
when we said 20, it was going to be long.
Well, I think 20, I go 30. That's kind of my mind. I do want to, Josh brought this up when we were doing the show, so I'm curious to kind of put full circle here with everything. Favorite D-backs player moments. I mean, I know probably there's some obvious ones, but like maybe you have some hidden gems there along the way that we're not aware of. I'll throw some old names at you too. But what do you got with what some of the players that you kind of? It doesn't have to be great players. I'm a hardcore fan. It might be little guys like Jay Bell or more of it. So what do you got for some of those moments?
I'm a huge Jay Bell fan. You hit the nail on the head right there. I just love Jay Bell. I thought he was like the best, like. because like you're brought up as a little leaguer to
Yeah.
hit a certain way, and I thought that J Bell looked like the MLB logo when he was up there hitting, right?
With the
Like,
glasses.
so, yeah, with the glasses on and everything, it was great. But I mean, obviously, like Randy Johnson probably has just provided me with so many moments. Like, not only as a fan, I mean, I can't tell you how much mileage we got out of him hitting a bird, and making the bird essentially explode, right? Not to mention the fact that like you really like, I find myself sitting around to this day looking at his stats from back then and being like, this man was 41 years old doing this. Like, what the hell? Like, in what world is a guy that this good giving you this many innings and doing it at the age that he was doing it, right? So like, there's that, but there's also the fact that like, since I covered this team, I've covered this team now for 13 years, right? And
Unreal.
So I've had a chance to be like around the retired, much nicer Randy Johnson that wasn't so nice to media back in the day, and now he's just
the photographer.
You're a photographer. Photographer Randy Johnson is just a delight to be around. He's a gem, right? But we've had some fun moments, and like one of my favorite moments was the wrestler Brian Danielson, the WWE wrestler. He came to the ballpark, and I'm a wrestling fan. I loved it. It was great to meet him. He was super cool. And he asked me, do you think Randy Johnson is going to be here today? And I was like, my guy, Randy Johnson works here. Like if you want to see him, he will come down to visit you. So there was this whole interaction where Randy Johnson came down and he was looking for the WWE wrestler. And he was looking around like, where is he? And someone was like, it's that guy right there. And the exact words out of his mouth were, that guy's the WWE champion, like with the most incredulous voice in the world, right? And then I got to see, Daniel Bryan come up to Randy Johnson and literally be a little kid where he's shaking his hand and looking up at him. And he's like, I've been a fan of you my whole life, because he's a Seattle kid. And, Randy Johnson obviously pitched in Seattle, right? So it's like, it was just a great, very wholesome all around moment, kind of to witness and to see all of it. And I'm like huge fans of both of those guys. So just to see him be a fan of Randy and to know what he kind of just means to so many people is awesome. And like, he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. The Diamondbacks like have a Hall of Fame here in town too. So he got the baseball Hall of Fame, but he also got inducted here. And like, he's just, I for a guy that at times was so intense and always looked like he was just so angry playing the game at all times. He just looks like he loves life now when you see him. And like, that getting to see that version of Randy Johnson is very, very cool.
And well, low-key favorite Randy Johnson moment is when he in that little brawl, right? Puts on the Giants hat. I don't know why. Just kind of like a low-key, like kind of funny moment. Obviously, as an A's fan, I always like the Mark McGwire video where he takes him deep. So that's always what I go with.
Yeah.
A lot of with that one. Randy's one of the best. I threw out a couple for some reason. Tony Womack always to me is a guy that I make a lot of call with. Maybe it's the steal there and the single to get the rally started there.
And he never gets credit for that. He never gets, like, they always talk about the Gonzo hit, but we never talk about him. We never talk about him in the playoffs either that year, because he was incredible at times during that playoff run. And I mean, there's just
how old would you have been during that 0-1 run?
So I was 20.
Okay,
so I was 20.
So I was 8. I would have been. I would have just been graduate. I was a senior that year in high school. Yeah, and I was an A's fan. The Yankees came back and beat us when we were up 2-0. So like, I really wanted you guys to beat them that year. And I always remember thinking, my last impression about that series is like, there's not many teams that could lose the way you guys lost those back-to-back games and then win the World Series.
Yeah,
and then Mariano Rivera is the closer with the 1-1. Like, it was just an odd World Series altogether. And then, like, you think of those parts of it, it's like you couldn't lose any more heartbreaking games than you guys lost. Like, that's. I
think after game 2, we were already celebrating that it was over, right? You know what I mean? Like, whichever game it was where they scored like all those runs in it. But man. But I'll tell you, there's some interesting things about that I've kind of learned with time. And like, part of it was that the original like owners, that there's an ownership group that brought, baseball to the Valley here in Arizona. And like, they really had this idealistic view of what baseball was going to be. And meanwhile, Jerry Colangelo was like in the corner being like, ha, 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 you fools. And then like they had like a huge drop in season ticket holders from season 1 to season 2 because the team was bad in the first season that they existed, like every franchise is. And they kind of panicked and they turned to Jerry and they were like, what did you say when you called us all fools? And he was like, yeah, I've been running the team called the Suns over there for a while. This town likes a winner, you know? And so like, it was interesting to see the perspective on that, including like players like Travis Lee, who was traded for Kurt Schilling, and kind of how he felt like he was kind of like, you know, was sold a bill of goods there a bit because he was kind of told that they were going to slow play the, you know, rollout of this franchise. And they were going to take some years to build it up. And, you know, they were going to be okay with kind of like losing. And in the second year, they decided to make drastic changes and bring in Randy Johnson, and they won like 100 games. And, you know,
smart decisions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that's the thing is like this, the city had so much success with this team so early on that then when, you know, the normal, you know, years of a baseball franchise rebuilding and stuff kicked in, it was hard. It was hard for a lot of people to kind of sit through. And, you know, we've had a couple of those stretches, and like, it's nice for this team to be going through this right now, because what they're going through right now is with a group of very young guys, you know, a bunch of 23, 24-year-olds that are out there doing this, you know, on a daily basis. And they're all going to be part of this team for, you know, a decent amount of the future. Like, I don't see them, you know, going the way the Marlins did or any other team where they start drastically selling off their pieces. This franchise is set and in a good position for a number of years, but the starting pitching, that's where there's a lot of questions about, because obviously Merrill Kelly's a free agent after this year, and then you have Zach Gallen is a free agent, you know, after next season. So, you know, what they're going to do there is still interesting, but they still have some good pieces here that'll be here for a while.
Yeah, you guys are very fascinating in that like point. You're not like, you know, you're not a top 8 spender. You're probably never going to be in that area.
Right.
You'll
right.
probably be, but I would think as a fan base, if I was Phoenix, I would say, hey, there's no reason you can't be 15, 13. I would think that's a reasonable spot for you guys to be if you get the players. And yeah, no, you guys have also proven, like you said, you have that early success as a franchise that kind of puts the immediate tension on the fan base. Is like, this is kind of what we expect. We expect.
Yeah.
I mean, most people have to go 40 years without a win. Like that, that is the reality of fan bases here.
Padres still don't have a World Series. They've been around forever, you know.
Let's remind them one more time, and the Mariners. A's fan will remind the Mariners as well. You do not have a World Series, those two franchise. And somehow I always love how you guys, as a kid, I was growing. The Mariners or the Diamondbacks rivalry. That's what we're putting. I was like, that's always kind of a funny thing to me as well. So they always have MLB always puts you as the rivalry for Seattle. I'm like,
oh yeah, no, there's always ridiculous stuff like that. Like,
how are they the rivalry?
how is our rival not the Tampa Bay Rays? The Diamondbacks have only won 4 games historically at the Trop. So there's that. And there's also the fact we both came into the league at the same time. Like, I've always viewed them as like our rival team in the AL, and they don't want to do that apparently.
That's funny.
They're going to go against another team in Florida. They'll find someone else for us to fight with. Maybe it'll be you guys when you move to Las Vegas.
I don't want to start crying right now.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Don't worry, we've been throughout the season.
I've been venting throughout the year. I look forward to my last show.
Hey, let me just say, as a person from the outside looking at it, it's been awful. And like, the one thing I keep telling everybody, I keep saying this over and over again, is if this can happen to the A's, this can happen to any team in sports. Any team, your team is not safe, because if this can happen to the A's, it can happen to any franchise.
It's weird. Like, you know, like I was like, I've been to that stadium like 500. You know, it's like, it's not like I used to have season tickets when I was younger. My dad had Raiders tickets. So Oakland, that part of it, it's everybody's like, well, don't want you just still root for them for their A's? I'm like, I'll probably eventually get there, but like there is like this point where you are kind of indebted to a city at the same time that you grew up going to. It's like the Giants, like they live. I mean, I'm closer to San Francisco than I am Oakland, but I enjoy the Giants losing more than the A's winning. So like that's kind of where
I go watch them lose. You can do that.
That's where that is my fan base now at this point. I'm looking for them to lose with it naturally. The Cardinals are going to Nashville. That's what you got there, Brian. We get Logan shout out there. Derek,
I mean, no, we got our AAA teams in Memphis already.
you might make it there then to Tennessee. Derek, I really appreciate your time. I know you joined us longer than you said. Like I said, follow them at PHNX Sports. Diamondbacks, they got a good show over there. Like I said, I've been kind of listening to you guys when Brandon was like, "Hey, I got this guy on." I was like, "Great!" I love it because I'm just a baseball junkie, and Edwards is too. Or we just love other teams. We kind of been, like you said, we've been doing the show all year. And then when I heard your show, I was like, "Oh, this guy definitely knows his baseball, but also the Dbacks as well." So I was like, "This is going to be great to have you on." So, and the fact that you gave us like 45 minutes, pretty awesome, man. So I appreciate you taking the time.
No
to
worries
do
at
that
all. No worries at all. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Where can we find you guys at? Just for our people that join the show, where's a good spot to join you guys at? When you guys on? Where does that work?
So we usually go live during post game shows during the week, and then Monday we usually do a 1 p.m. show Pacific Standard Time. Same thing usually like with Thursday, unless there's a big game that day, then we'll kind of switch it to a post game. Lately, it's just with all the fun this team has been having, it's been hard not to do as many post-game shows as possible. So usually that's where you can find us. But of course, we have a YouTube channel over at PHNX Sports. So make sure to check us out there. You can also follow our account at PHNX _Dbacks on Twitter.
And we'll have those links below on the show here. And like I said, always a good show there with it. And like I said, you guys got a playoff run to possibly talk about
We
here.
do.
So you should have lots of good programming along the way here as well.
Yes.
And we'll be tuning in.
I appreciate that. And we just added Archie Bradley to our roster too. So former Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher Archie Bradley is now part of our show. He joins us a couple times here before the postseason, and then he's going to be kind of locked in with me during the postseason while our guy Jesse will be traveling with the team and bringing us whatever information we can get from the stadium. So again, make sure to join us. It's pretty fun.
I like how he said already postseason. I like the confidence there.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah,
I like that guy. I like the confidence there, Derek. No fun there. With
don't let the fans hear that. They'll get so mad at me if things go south.
We cut that on the short just for people. Yeah. We don't want that on the short. So, Derek, appreciate it, man. Hopefully, maybe if you guys make a playoff run, we can get you on here like we expect as well. So, best of luck with your show. You guys are killing it there. So, we hope to do it again soon, man. So, appreciate you
so much. Thank you so much.
Take care, man.
Yeah, bye. Josh, that was fun, man. What a guest he was. What a guest he was.
He was awesome, dude. His voice is great.
Yeah, it makes me and you look like we don't know what we're doing there. That's
exactly. Or at least we don't sound like we know what we're doing.
Can you believe that was 48 minutes? That's how good he was. We talked through like some good stuff there with the along the way. Like you said, Dbacks, you've been kind of with him the whole week. I'm gonna move through the show a little bit, then a little quicker.
You just buzz through it at this point, man, because I know there's a lot on there. So I'm just gonna say
we can go short with it here. Let's go standings check, and you pick out what you want to go with. What NL team, AL team will finish with the number 1 seed? Mariners move on from their manager.
I know, it was nuts.
They're 5 back at Houston. Twins, Royals catching up to Guardians. Only 2 out. Cards, Cubs, Reds. Oh my, you're sucky. You guys got your walk off yesterday, but where do you want to go with my where do you want to go with my standings check there?
First of all, we're gonna catch the Cleveland Guard. No, hold on. I was looking at the Cleveland Guard.
Did you say you? Are you the Royals? Are you the Royals now? Did you say you?
Hold on.
Logan Stone, are you out there? Did he say you?
The Royals are gonna catch the Cleveland Guardians, and then the Cardinals are not gonna catch the Milwaukee Brewers. Houston's, I cannot believe I'm going to say this.
Susie, breaking news here.
Somehow, some way, Houston's going to win that division. I think the Orioles take the Yankees.
They're 5 up. They should win it now.
Yeah, but you still fall apart. There's so much time left.
The Mariners,
5 games isn't anything.
You still believe in the Mariners?
And here's the only reason I'm giving this a chance.
Right. I want to hear you out on it. That's why.
It's because of the manager change. Because we've seen it before. You change the manager, it gives a spark. They're doing it with a month left in the season, and then they got to run for an extra 4 weeks.
I get you. It's like the Raiders getting rid of McDaniels and hiring Pierce. You play better for them.
I mean,
I get you.
Look at it. There's a chance there.
All right, fair enough.
How about the Guardians are then on the wild card, and I think. Oh man,
I'm curious about your Twins Royals. You think they can catch the Guardians? They're 2 out though.
I do think yeah.
Both teams are 2 out behind Cleveland.
And
Cleveland, gosh,
and they're all playing good right now.
It's good, man. This is good.
Lost 2 in a row, but everybody else is playing good ball.
Are your buddies in work excited? I mean, my goodness, they should be fired up.
Well, he was at the Cardinal game today. He's a Cardinal fan too. He's just like I am. He roots for the Cardinals.
All right, so you're not like me, where if the Giants lose, I'm willing to stay up to midnight to listen to the replay. I got you. You're not you're not sick like that. I got you.
No, I'm not. I got too many other things going on. But no, there's a chance the Mariners can catch in. I don't see
that
the
was
Rays
when I was a
doing it,
kid.
even though they've been playing really good ball as of late. I think Boston. I mean, I think it could be Boston or Tampa or Minnesota for the last spot. I mean, even KC if it doesn't go the way I think. I mean, those are the teams that are still in it. When I typically love going against Josh Yankees.
Yeah, well, a new manager might help for sure. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Boom.
I'm not saying you shouldn't fire him. Like, I'm just saying it's a desperate move at this point. That's what it is. It's a desperation move.
In the NL, the Phillies are going to win their division. I think Diamondbacks jump the Dodgers or the Padres. I don't think the Dodgers win. I think Dodgers in the wild card. Milwaukee wins the division. 3 teams out of the West are in the wild card, and I think the Mets jump the Braves.
Man, that's a surprising call there, but the Mets Braves would be a shocking one with it. Judge, he gets 48 today. 4 home runs in 3 games. I know you don't care, but the fact is, Edward, you're seeing a guy that's going to probably hit back-to-back 60 home run seasons. And we haven't seen
doesn't have enough to break Barry Bonds' record or Mark McGuire's, so it doesn't matter.
You weren't on last week, and I didn't have time to get to it with CP, but I was going to – and I want Logan – we had a church event. He couldn't make it on there, so a late notice there, so he couldn't get in to give me his Judge update, which I'm still waiting for there, Logan, if you're out there. I'm still waiting for that segment, for that information there that I can get with Judge and catching Bonds. I was going to ask, like I posted on 7th Inning Stretch Twitter last week, like where do you see him falling with career home runs? 350, like I said, like. Oh,
I answered this.
Where did you have him falling?
600 to 699.
Okay, so you do think he'll get over 600. I did not. So that's that's a little surprising coming from you, but like it's not far off. I have him kind of more around that 570 mark. So
can I clarify this?
Absolutely.
I honestly think he's going to be between 5 and 599. I think he has the potential to be between 600 and 699. That's what I should have said. Should have been more clear.
Can we give a shout out?
I think he could break 600. Yeah, absolutely.
We got to give a shout out to our guy John real quick here, out of your Falcon mind. It's been too long. I think he heard you say Braves. I think he heard you say Braves a few minutes ago.
He might have. Hey, and you know what? I wouldn't have said that, and I think my order would be completely different if the Braves were not as banged up as they are.
They are in trouble, man. They are bad. Ozuna though randomly could be in the triple crown watch. It's you know what I mean. And my guy CP had him second in the NL MVP. He did mention some of the legal things, but yes, he did mention stats as well. Like he is right there with it on the same pace. John, we hope you're doing well out there in Atlanta. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in. I asked him,
John, who's going to be the best Falcon I should pick in like the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round of the fantasy draft?
Well, the Falcons actually run the ball with Robinson this year. Is that going to be? Is they actually going to run the ball this year? And we have Field 9 by the end of the season. It will be a miracle. Yeah, you guys have just been decimated by injuries like the whole year. At least he's getting 600. I think Judge, you're right though with that 600. Back to your point. That right field helps him, my man. Like that right field is. Just...
as long as he's in, if he finishes his career with the Yankees, then yeah, I think there's no. I think if he doesn't hit 600, then he failed. That's what I would say. If he stays there because of that ballpark, if he doesn't hit 600, his career was a failure, in my opinion.
Are we underestimating him getting to 62 home runs again? Like, are we, me and you, just like, oh, it's Aaron Judge? I feel like part of us should be like, oh my gosh, this has been awesome. Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe the steroid era just give us I don't know. I'm trying to put all this in perspective a little bit.
I don't know, man.
Pitts again, dude. Pitts again.
I'm not going to be able to get them in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I need sleeper picks from the Falcons that are going to get me 10 to 12 points a week.
Is Drake London still a sleeper picker? Is that much?
He's not a sleeper anymore, and I get him a couple times. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation. That's all I'm saying.
It's just not as interesting to me because it's already been done. Steroids or not, Judge is huge, man.
He's a big man from out here, this area. Only a couple hours.
He's a big dude. Like
6'7", 290. He's a big
guy. If he doesn't hit him, like it's like what? Why else is he playing baseball? He should be playing football.
He should. And I mean, what tight end? He probably wouldn't be the best. He's probably not the fastest guy. He's a center fielder. He is center fielder right now. What do you got, Diamond? What do you got for Sammy Sosa, though? I know you're a big guy in Mark McGwire, though. So do you remember those eras, or is that too young for you still? Silence is always a good thing. So just let it. Okay, so you weren't too young for it. You know, that was a big deal for you.
Yeah. Limited edition stuff.
I feel like that stuff's a big deal. I feel like it really is. Like, for me, the home run chase to 60 is still a big thing. I have stuff back here. I have like random McGwire and Sammy Sosa stuff over here as well. So I feel like that stuff's over it. What do you got? Oh,
this is for his 500.
That's sick. See, I got like newspaper stuff with that as well. Like that. I mean, it's funny too because he just got traded to the A's like a year and a half before that. So it's kind of funny for me how in some way we're correlated with that from one team to the next, and just have the same player. We kind of have appreciation for in that regard. Mark's one of the best. I don't care about that. All right, let me get to it. Peter Gavin style. Talk to Zuna, Triple Crown here. Diamond Notes. I got Winker goes wild after crushing on home run. Logan said, "Get off the lawn, you old man." I just said I'm just throwing it out there. He was excited about it. Maybe I'm too much about it.
Act like you've been there.
I mean, my goodness.
Regular season.
My God. I mean, like I said, what is he going to do? Take off his clothes in the postseason? I mean, my God, what are we going to do now?
Tyler O'Neill did when he scored home runs.
Oh, good Lord.
Game winners.
Well, Tyler O'Neill works out enough where he can do it. If you go to the gym 10 hours a day, you can take your shirt off. That's all right. Joey Votto, former MVP and face of the Reds, officially retires here over the last 25 years.
Sad day for baseball.
And then for me, a sad day. The last Bay Bridge series here on Sunday. Giants ended up getting the win, but that was a lot of. I did a show there with the guys on Fat Boy Fadeaway, kind of reflecting on that. 27 years of Bay Area games since '97, since Interleague started there. So those are my Diamond Notes. I got some stuff at the bottom as well. We had the Little League Classic, some other things that went on along the way. What do you make there of the Diamond Notes there, Josh?
Can I give you my own Diamond Note?
You can give me whatever you want. Add to it.
It's a note from vacation.
Let's do it.
We got to meet a couple of the international teams where we were vacationing at.
Because you were in Branson?
Yeah, the Mexican international team was there at the same beach we were at one day.
Yeah. Did you talk to him?
No, I'm not going and bothering these international superstar ball players. I'm just going to let them enjoy their time and be normal people. But don't think I didn't want to walk over and be like, all right, what are all your names so I can look for you all in the next 5 to 10 years?
Can you sign this?
Everybody just sign a piece of paper here for me. I'm not, trust me, you're going to be here. I just want to have it so I can make money off your name. Yep.
Yeah, Branson, you guys get that stuff down there in Missouri. You guys get those big little.
I was caught off guard by it.
You guys got a nice field down there. A lot of teams go down there for it.
Yeah, I guess it's a big tournament.
Diamond Note. That is a good Diamond Note there. Joey Votto, I do want to spend a second on him.
Absolutely.
What do you think about him with it? Like, for me, he was always a fantasy relevant player. He was one of my favorite players in the National League because he was so different than the rest of the players. Lewis said he ended up, I think, with 362 home runs, maybe 382. But I think it's 362 if I'm off the top of my head. You know, the Hall of Fame, I don't know if he's going to get in, but what do you kind of make of Votto's career? You saw him a lot. Come on, you had to see him all the time in the Central there, so you know him better than me.
He is a great ambassador of the game and what the game is supposed to be. He has a fantastic personality. He is a man of the fans. Although he was always the rival, I always had respect for Joey Votto. And always thought he was a hell of a good ball player. I understand the retirement. I'm sad Toronto didn't pick him up so he could go play 1 year in front of his family. I think they should have done that, especially with as bad as they've been this year, as big of a disappointment as they've been. But no, it's another one of those guys from our childhood era that just is done.
What I say was like Pujols out retired, Cabrera now retired, and Votto. It's like I think I said 1,530 home runs, something like that, between the three of those guys. That's an era gone. I mean, Pujols maybe that a lot, but that's an era gone. Votto definitely deserves his claim. It'll be interesting where he falls in the Hall of Fame category. It'll be interesting. I don't know.
I think like a fifth ballot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting where he gets in, like where he sees where the future goes with that. Bay Bridge series
because
obviously hits
so well
me.
Liked, I think he gets in.
That's probably fair. That's fair.
But I think it takes a while.
We'll see what happens. It might be on that 10th year. That might be that 10th year that gets him in there with it. Baseball bonanza here. What MLB player couldn't hit water if he fell off a boat? What's the first player that goes to mind? He doesn't even have to be a bad player. He's like, this guy sucks. I don't care who he is. This guy sucks. He's never going to hit a ball if his life depended on it. Can I say Ben Grieve? I mean, I'm telling you, I know this isn't, but I was a 15-year-old fan. This guy could not hit sliders away, and he led the league of double plays for 2 years. I don't care that he won Rookie of the Year in '98. He's famous for Lou Piniella chewing his ass out as well when he was on the Rays. This guy was a good hitter, but he pissed me off. I remember when I was an A's fan. So I'm going to say Ben Grieve, Rookie of the Year. So it's kind of a star-studded could hit water.
Logan Stone wants me to say Yadier Molina, which would be wrong because he had a really good bat in the back half of his career up until the last 3 or 4 years. Currently, I'm going to say Nolan Gorman. He can't hit water so badly. That's why he's got to sit down the minors. And there it is, Logan Stone, Yadier Molina.
Just like that. How can Yadier Molina? I mean, you guys have had that worse hitters than that over the years, where like that had to piss you off, where they were getting played.
Oh, yeah, but he does that just to piss me off.
There had to be a guy though. So, what team do you remember the most? Is it the 14 World Series team?
Oh, the 6, 11.
So there's a couple teams in the 6 that could not hit. There was that. Then you guys lost to the Red Sox. You guys had a few guys.
Well, that was 04.
You had a few struggling there during that time. So nobody there. Gorman is on the current list. I'll respect that.
That's my current list. I mean,
I got that. All right. Well,
looking back, we've had some guys. So, I mean, there's just too many to pick from.
We'll pick one if you think of it right here. I want to know if you think of a guy we can call out. We'll put him on there.
Robertson.
Oh, boom. Right there. Robertson. We got you right there.
Shane Robertson.
Name an unforgettable World Series moment. What's yours?
Oh, it's that's tough.
It doesn't have to
personally.
It can be anything. That's saying. Give me a couple. Whatever you got. I know Freeze is.
I don't know. Waino closing out the World Series was pretty big ordeal in 06. Freeze with the whole World Series there. The 01 World Series with the Dbacks. That one's one of my favorites.
One of the best. The whole game, the whole series is unreal.
Yeah, the whole series was good. So that was one of my favorites. I mean, those are probably my 3 favorite.
That stands out to you. That's fair. I would say for the Freeze one stands out. I would say that stands out to me. I would say it's the double over Nelson Cruz more than the home run for me. That one stands out to me a little bit more, just because that was such a bigger moment that would have lost. You guys would have lost if he makes the catch. So I'd say that one stands out to me more than one of the others. I would say it's a little. I would say for me, Joe Carter hitting the home run against the Phillies. I remember being at my grandmother's house seeing that one to beat him on Game 6. Mitch Williams, that one definitely stands out to me. 1993. Obviously 89 living in the area where the earthquake happened. That's hard not to remember as well.
I was one. I don't know.
You do not, and you did not live in the area where you were under a mall where your mom's like, get out of the mall. No. So you remember that. So there was those type of things. And then I'd probably say also for me, a random one is Pablo Sandoval hitting 3 home runs in Game 1 versus the Tigers, 2 off Justin Verlander in 2010, like just unexpected that as well. So those are kind of some moments that kind of stand out to me as well when I think World Series.
I mean, seeing the Cubs finally break that curse was not like it's unforgettable for me. It's unforgettable because it wasn't a positive unforgettable. It's unforgettable. So the Cubs getting their World Series, that was pretty rough to swallow.
Yeah, especially the way that was a great game though. Oh man, what a Game 7 that was.
Yeah, I mean it was. But
97 too. I got a shout out to Marlins, Indians. Renteria gets the single. For me, that was also a big one. I remember kind of my parents like calling me like, "You got to watch this." Like, so I kind of remember that as well. What do you got? Who's your favorite forgotten power hitter? You got any power hitters that people forget about?
I don't have anybody who's a favorite who's forgotten.
Travis Hafner is somebody I like. He played for the Indians, and he was a big dude. Paul Konerko, I feel like he's forgotten a little bit.
He's not forgotten.
Well, I don't hear everybody saying Paul Konerko get him in the Hall of Fame for 448 home runs. Like I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody saying like this guy's a stud in that regard. He got 70 more home runs than Votto. You know, that's my point. Is you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I'm not saying the best player. I'm saying power hitter. I feel like that he's kind of on that list as well.
You said okay. I thought I'd forgotten, and like I just don't remember him ever playing. I'm like,
Well, trivia's coming up. Trivia's coming up.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna lose.
But yeah, do you have any other ones? Is there any Cardinals guys that people forget about?
Forgotten power?
It doesn't have to be great. Maybe at 25 home runs on your team, they forget about. Like Ray Langford isn't considered a power hitter, so I can't put him in that category.
Brian Jordan, JD Drew.
JD Drew, yeah, he might have been on that list as well. You guys were there. That's fair. I'd say that too. Those are some guys, though. Adam Dunn, obviously.
Would you call Tino Martinez power?
Yeah, I'd say it's a little forgotten there.
We had him for a year or two.
Yeah, I'd say that.
David Robinson was the best power hitter.
Logan, I don't know if we're on the good stuff there today.
He was on for that, so he heard me say his name earlier.
Yeah, we got that. What do you think, Josh? MLB trivia here. Let's get you on it here with it. See what you got. See what you're made of.
Here we go.
Last week you weren't on. I got CP with Jason Isringhausen, so he fell short last week.
You used one I might actually get.
You got it with it. I played for 14 seasons in the big league, starting in 2004. I finished top 10 in MVP voting 3 times. I was a 7-time All-Star. I finished with a 296 batting average.
Next.
All right, let's kind of play through.
I can't guess that out of that.
You can't even throw a name out. All right, we got one there. All right, I was a 2-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time Silver Slugger winner. I made the World Series 1 time, losing my only experience. I also played only in the NL East. Hit number 3. I played my whole career in the National League, hitting 242 home runs, playing for one team. My whole career, he never played for anybody else. One team. This guy
played the first clue now.
7-time All-Star. 7-time All-Star. Played for the same team.
Started in 04. Retired in 01. Who retired in 01?
And only played in the Dental League. That's what it was. Only played it. He missed a year as well due to surgery.
Hold on.
Don't look at the comments. Logan got it right.
I'm not.
Logan, you got it right. You would have got last week wrong, but you got this week right. Give you that. Come on, Edwards. We believe it.
So hold on.
He played in the NL East.
Infield or outfield? Because if it's infield, I got it.
That's why I said infield.
Oh, is it? Okay.
If I tell you the position, it'll be too easy, I feel like. Maybe not, but I feel like it'll be way too easy.
No, it's the guy who all the Mets fans love. Third baseman.
We'll take it. He's right. We'll give it to him. David Wright is the answer.
He's a good player.
Logan, we'll give it to him. The captain. Yes. The captain is right. We do have the captain. I love it. We'll give it to you, Edward.
If I was seeing the captain, I would have thought A-Rod. Jeter.
We're definitely not going to A-Rod on this show. We definitely don't want the A-Rod. So here's the reason.
Don't ever do Jeter. I don't like him either.
I'm definitely with you on that one. So we got David Wright as the answer here on.
He was a Cardinal killer.
On MLB trivia. So let's get him on the big board here. What we got here? Here we
go. Ooh, a little broken bat and David Wright! What a play! Are you kidding? That may be the best I've ever seen.
That's a magnificent play by David Wright. Wow! What a play by David Wright!
He did this crap all the time against the Cardinals. Not exactly like that, but always something he's not supposed to be able to do.
So good. He was such a good player.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good. He was one of my favorite players.
When you said NL, I was like, hold on. These are players I know.
I was like, come on, you got to get this. I was like, Edwards has to get this one. I know he can get this one. I believe in him. He can get this one.
He was a Cardinal killer. Like, he always gave us hell. Like, every single time.
Is he one of the guys? Is he one of the main guys you think of?
From the Mets, yeah. When I think of the Mets being good, when I was growing up, yeah. That's why I was like, hold on. Oh, I thought he went somewhere else, so that's why I was like, this is my guess. But I know he was with the Mets forever.
Yeah, he was a great hitter. Him, Jose Reyes, I remember there for a while, obviously. At the third base, shortstop is as good as it gets there. So, yeah, good trivia. Josh Edwards, we'll give it to him. We got it this week. Well done, sir. He's on the big board. He's on the big board. That and Scott Rowland gets the job done. Those are your two answers that we got. All right, let's get Buck up on it.
What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.
It's going to be another 10 years before we ever get to hear that call again.
Beltran was the worst against
Beltran was,
it was pretty
started on that.
Yeah, that Astros series was, that was pretty tough against that one. But you won it.
I mean, I wish the Astros were back in our division.
You won it though, so it's not the worst in the world here with it. And Santana, he was tough as well. He was a good one. Marco Scudero, ring a bell. Scudero NL MVP against you guys. And 04, was that 14? Or was it 10? Kenny Lofton gets the walk off. All right. Here we go. We're going to go on the big board. MLB video of the week. This is my guy. He played for the A's a couple years after this. His name was Jack Cust, and I used to call him "In Jack We Combust." He hit a lot of home runs for the A's for a few years at DH when they were awful in like 07 and 08. He was on the Orioles before this. It was against the Yankees. Jeter was there. Soriano. You'll see them in the middle of the infield here. Just kind of one of those all-time base running plays that you would enjoy. Here we go.
Garcia, they're going to send him. No, they stop him. And Cuss falls down. And he's going to run down. Aaron Boone going to tag him out. There was nobody at home plate, and Jack Cuss simply lost his footing. Nobody was at home.
That hurts.
You talk about a tough way to go out, Edwards. Nobody there.
Fall one more time.
Nobody at plate. Nobody at the home. Right. So here's the catcher. They run the pickle. Nobody's at home plate. Oh, he falls down.
Oh, he did fall. I thought he tried to dope.
No.
No.
Oh, Jack Cuss had.
That's dirty.
He had just the ultimate left-handed home run swing here on the A's. Like I said, he played for. I think he actually had back-to-back, maybe 30 home run seasons for the A's here at 07, 08. So, but on some bad teams along the way. But this is kind of that memory I remember for him. All right, there he is. Oh, nobody's home. Oh, look out for that gopher hole. It's right there. Look that gopher
taken
hole.
out by a sniper.
Oh, the gopher hole. Yeah, the sniper got him. The sniper in the gopher hole. He got him. I always do that. The guys when I'm in P, I'm like, oh, that gopher hole got you out in the gym there. Like, what? And I love the first graders like, what? You're like, what do you mean gopher? Pull your head out. You know what? It's not a gopher hole there. So that was funny. So that was a good flashback video of the week. I thought there with it one that you didn't know this one. You knew the last couple. So I had to pick up my game here a little bit that as well. Josh Edwards, where'd I go wrong tonight?
Nowhere. You were phenomenal. You conduct such a better interview than I do.
In what sense?
You're just better at it.
Well, okay. Well,
you got better flow, man. I don't know how you want to say it.
What did Josh do go wrong? Is that where this is? That what you're trying to tell me where this segment should go?
No, I ain't going wrong. I'm the part of this show that doesn't make mistakes. I may misspeak. Don't make mistakes.
Did you see that?
I haven't got to watch it yet. I know you guys sent it to me. I haven't got to watch it yet, and I didn't think we were going to touch it tonight.
Logan, if you have a church emergency, we understand, but come on next week. I have the segment prepared for you to talk about this, and I want to hear your thoughts about Bonds and that home runs thing too. So let's hear that with Judge as well. I want to hear you on there with it. Yes, I have my thoughts, but I want to do this with Edwards as well. It was very interesting. I think it'd be something that would be fun for us to even do.
I know him and John Boy got into it. Or one of John Boy's people got into it with him. I have not got to watch the clip. I know what it's about. I just haven't got to watch it, so I can't speak to it yet.
Logan, we'll see you next week on that sense of it, Fred. We'll see you there with it. Edwards, it was good to have you back. Didn't have you last week. CP, it was great having CP on the show last week, but it's always better when you're there along the way with me. So good to have us back. What an interview Derek was. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was awesome. We've had some good ones on.
Yeah.
You guys got to share this with your friends and show them that we got some good interviews coming in, and we're having some good times here.
Well, we got to get Ryan on here shortly too. Get some Phillies talk.
Oh, I'll get him soon. I was trying to wait until we get a little closer to September.
He'll be on here too. I'd like to get some I'd like to even get our guys on from the A's, Dallas Brady. I've reached out to him a little bit too. It'd be fun to get his thoughts on the A's, just from a personal standpoint, get him on the grand macro here, 7th inning, kind of talk to you about how we're kind of seeing that side of baseball a little bit from our side here at the West Coast, as our team is dying and fading away literally from us in our city here. So I'd love to get him on too as well. So maybe a little shout out, Brady, if you're out there. We'd love to have you on. So I've reached out to you along the way. So Edwards, that was fun, man. Good to have you back, and I'm looking forward to next Thursday as well. We're getting close to playoff time, my friend.
Hold on. Is it next or is the week after that? Is the change?
We're going to be Thursday next week, and then we'll go Wednesday. When the NFL starts, that'll be September 5th. We're going to move to Wednesdays there. We know where the bread is buttered. So we're not going to compete against the monopoly. So we'll go Wednesday, probably September 4th. Well, that's when we'll jump to Wednesdays.
Well, I would say that we don't want to compete. It's not that we don't want to compete against Monopoly. We don't mind. We just don't want to detour you from your other sporting habits you have, and we want to make sure you get the opportunity to view both at your leisure.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards, for putting the varieties for Network Star by it. I'm just going to give you the blood crap. That's what the reality is, though. Nobody wants to watch us when the Chiefs had played football, so that's the reality with it. So
basically, we want to watch the football games too. So you know,
exactly, and everybody knows that. So it's like a piece of crap. All right, that was
honest
fun.
Here, honesty in media.
That is great, Derek Montia. One of my better reviews I've ever had. It's just well spoken. I really enjoyed it. I didn't even care with Diamondbacks. I just enjoyed talking baseball with him. He was
Could
fantastic.
You imagine if we got the Royals versus the Diamondbacks and we got him and Josh on for the same show?
Yeah, we might have low ratings, but we'll have a great show. And then turns out that will be so. That would be great. So I would love that. Edwards, who knows what next week will bring? We'll see who we got on next week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate the support, Doug. Over at retweeting our stuff over there. Josh Lewis, Susie, all those guys retweeting our stuff. Edwards, we got a lot of people that have done it along the way. Who else retweeted? John joined us tonight. We haven't seen him in a while. So for me, this is what keeps it going in a sense. So appreciate you guys doing all that stuff too.
No, everybody's great. Next week, I will be paying off a debt. If you guys don't know about the debt, get on Twitter or X and find it. If you know about the debt or the debt I owe, we'll see it next week. And it'll be a 3-week event, and I will pay off my debt in the most humble way I can.
What color is
without
involved?
Complaining. I'm not going to say that. I don't even know what it looks like yet. I haven't gotten it, received it, but I will be paying off my debt if you follow us on X. I lost the bet, so I got to pay off my debt.
Doug, Ohio Sports Talk. That was a good.
He better be on. If he's not in the comments, I'm gonna smack him when I see him.
Oh, we'll get him on for that one for sure. I know he was on tonight as well, so appreciate it. So for Josh Edwards, for Derek Montoya from Phoenix, from the Phoenix Diamondbacks, appreciate his time as well. I am Darren Breyer, Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. You'll see me there once in a while Sunday. For Edwards, we'll see you guys next Thursday. Peace.